Hi, and welcome to welcome to Boyetry. And today I'm gonna be reading all the way through chapter 1 of my first book, Joshua Tree. And I am going to, I'm gonna read through all that, and I'm also gonna just really quickly answer the spicy question that I asked myself in in like 2 videos ago. I asked myself, so I had read I read the prologue of my first book, Joshua Tree. I read all the way through the first prologue, and I asked myself the question: is the girl in that prologue a girl in my real life? So the actual characters in that specific prologue is Kate Iris and Joshua Tree. And so, because it doesn't go into the names or anything, it's just a boy and a girl. It's just a girl killing a boy in the prologue. But that is actually Kate Iris, the character Kate Iris, and Joshua Tree. And so with this question that I asked myself, I'm going to be answering it almost the same way I answered a question back in 2018. I did a video where I climbed up on the roof and I answered the question of whether I am Joshua Tree or not. And the answer to that question was yes and no. Because, well, I go into it in that video. With Kate Iris, that is the same kind of answer. Yes, it was a real girl. But, okay, first off, yes, it was a real girl in my life. But it also, I realized as I kept going, was that it was multiple girls in my life. So it became in my head not just one specific girl. So it almost, like Kate Iris represents in a way, is just kind of relationships a little bit, and just kind of the dynamic with it. Also, now, okay, this is gonna go a little deep. I'm going a little deep right now. I'm going deep. Kate Iris was also, as I realized, Kate Iris is also me. At least a big percentage of me, because the thing is that sounds kind of deep, but also it's not, because all my characters are me, because at least maybe in my head they're just different versions, because I try to write from all of their perspectives in Joshua Tree. I just flip from one to the other to the next. I flip from all of their perspectives, so I have to really become them. So in a way, in that way, they are all just kind of pieces of me. But Kate Iris, I think I realize, is kind of a significant portion of me. So not only does she represent kind of relationships with other people, but she represents kind of a relationship with myself. Which, that sounds kind of crazy, but that's Kate Iris. So that's kind of just the answer to that spicy question. Now I'm going to read the first chapter of Joshua Tree, which is actually very short. It's a very quick chapter, not like the other video I just did, but this one's very quick, very short. I'll kind of read through the first chapter and then just kind of come back here and just generally talk about it. This one's real quick, so very general. All right. I just waved like I was saying goodbye. No, now we're switching to me reading. Part 1. Hate Him. Chapter 1. Joshua Tree. Joshua's mom called out, trying to wake him up. This was the 4th time she called out his name from the front passenger seat of the van, but Joshua continued to ignore her and pretended to sleep. 10 years ago. Why am I ignoring my mom? Well, I didn't want to get up because I was extremely comfortable in my bed. I call it my bed, but it really is just a bunch of mats in my section of the van in the back, which I guess you could call this section my room, then? Okay, so I was comfortable in my room/bed, alright? Yeah, I live in a van with my mom and dad. We live like nomads, you could say, moving from place to place. Don't judge. We've been to a lot of states in America, which is kind of cool. I'm not sure if it's all of them, but I would say we've definitely been to most of them. I'm only 9 years old, and I've probably been to more states than you have. Every once in a while, my parents would be able to pay for us to sleep in a motel, but that happened rarely. I'll admit, sleeping in a motel was a treat, because the beds would be more comfortable than my mats in our van. Sometimes there was a TV in the room too, which I rarely got to watch because, again, that happened rarely. The only thing I had for entertainment in the van was the radio. To be honest though, I'm not really sure where my parents got money for us to pay for gas or anything else we needed to live, like food, for example. We ate extremely cheap stuff, even dinners, that consisted of things from the dollar store. I know what you're thinking. Yum! But yeah, I mean, we get by. I never knew why we lived this lifestyle, but it's just how we lived ever since I was born, so I never really questioned it. My parents are kind of hippie-like though, too. I could definitely see them in the 70s. The way we lived would possibly make a little bit more sense if it were the 70s. We even have a small peace sign on the front of our black and green van, but it's not the 70s, so I guess we just look like hobos living in a van. My parents do say our last name is Tree, though. How can you get any more hippie-like than that? I'm pretty sure that is not our legal last name, but to be honest, I do like it, so I don't care. You could also say that we're spiritual people, feeling like we're connected to the world and nature and whatnot, but I still don't think living in a van was done completely by choice, or at least by any good choices. After calling my name for the 7th time, my mom finally just got up, crawled over the passenger seat, and started shaking me. I'm up, I said, sitting up and throwing off my blanket with frustration. Mom, it is way too early, or late, or whatever time it is, for me to be up. Oh, give me a break. The sun is coming up in an hour or so. You are 9 years old. Practically a man, she said, turning on the light on the ceiling of the van. The light was a soft yellow and wasn't that bright, but I still didn't enjoy it ridding me of my peaceful darkness. Obviously, I said sarcastically, in between a yawn and rubbing my eyes. They adjusted to the light and I looked at my mom, trying to seem annoyed. She just smiled at me and looked back at me with those pretty brown eyes. She always smiled at me, which made me even more annoyed. I grunted back at her happiness. Okay, sleepyhead. She chuckled and kissed my forehead. Her long brown hair lightly touched my cheeks. Get your boots on and help me to collect some sticks for the fire for breakfast later. Fine. Don't give me attitude. Fine, I said, with less attitude, grabbing my boots as instructed right across from me. I looked in the driver's seat where I'm used to seeing Dad, noticing it was empty. Hey, Mom, where's Dad at? I asked, even though I kind of already knew what the answer would be. She hesitated. Oh, he's out. Doing business. Ah, there it was, the famous doing business saying. I was used to hearing the answer every time I asked. For years, my dad would disappear to go do business, and I always wondered what he was out doing. Anytime I would question my dad or mom what he was doing, they would avoid giving me a straight answer. They used to say he was out going to the bathroom, of course, and I bought that for a long time when I was little. Then his disappearance seemed too frequent, and he would be out for a while. I don't think anybody takes that long to go to the bathroom. He would also bring his backpack with him, never letting me look inside it. I used to imagine that he was a secret agent, or a superhero, or maybe even a superhero agent, probably hiding his amazing supersuit and equipment in that bag. Okay, unlikely, I know, but my mom always seemed kind of nervous when he was out, so I figured it must be something kind of dangerous. I like to imagine him being a hero of some kind. Kid can dream, can he? Right. Business, I said, clearly unconvinced, but she ignored my suspicious tone and me. She handed me my black jacket and slipped on hers, waited for me to slip on my jacket and my boots, and then turned off the light, opening the 2 big doors at the end of the van, letting in the Ohio cold. Alright, so see, that was a very quick... Where's the... See, that was a very quick one, very short chapter. So yeah, you kind of get the idea of Joshua Tree, little 9-year-old. He's a 9-year-old boy at the time. Little 9-year-old Joshua Tree's his environment right now. which is in a van with his mom, and and he's just kind of questioning the situation of exactly where, like, why he's there. And he's only 9, but he's still starting to get the idea of, like, this is a little strange. So yeah, and then you just you kind of meet his mom, and yeah, you get the sense of his environment and his parents. He explains that they're kind of hippie like, and that's kind of generally it. And then we just find out they're in Ohio. I don't know. That's how the chapter ends. And then so next time I'll read, next time in the next video I'll be reading another book, and then I'll come back to Joshua Tree. So yeah, I hope somebody enjoyed that. Stay connected, and I will see you guys next time. I won't be wearing this. Oh god.